You're not the a-hole for rejecting your mom and refusing to forgive her, especially given the immense hurt she's caused you and your family. It sounds like she's broken a lot of trust and failed to be there for you when you needed her most. For over 2 years, she was absent in critical moments of your life, neglecting both you and your brother, and even ignoring your health needs. Meanwhile, she was focused on her affair and bonding with her partner's kids. That kind of emotional abandonment is a deep betrayal, and your feelings of anger and hurt are completely valid. It's understandable that you don't want to reconcile with her right now, especially when she hasn't shown the kind of remorse or accountability that would make you feel safe opening up to her. Her actions speak louder than her words, and telling you to just forgive and move on without taking real responsibility for her choices seems unfair and manipulative. Her insistence on having a new family and trying to push you into accepting it, especially when you clearly don't want to, adds another layer of frustration. The fact that your therapist is pushing you toward reconciliation in a way that feels more about your mom's comfort than your healing is concerning. Therapy should help you process your emotions and move forward at your pace, not pressure you into forgiveness before you're ready. It's especially troubling that your mom blocked your request to change therapists, showing more about her desire for control rather than supporting your mental health needs. It's also okay to take a step back from your mom if she's making you feel guilty or pressured. You have a right to set boundaries and choose when, or if you're ever ready to forgive her. You've been through a lot, and your healing journey should be on your terms, not dictated by others. It's important to focus on your own well-being first, and if that means distancing yourself from her for now, that's okay. At the end of the day, your mom's actions, particularly choosing to be there for another family over her own, have consequences. She can't just erase that by asking for forgiveness when it's convenient for her. You deserve to be treated with respect, and only when you're ready should you consider any kind of relationship with her again. The pressure from your mom and therapist should not make you feel guilty for wanting to take the time you need to heal. Am I the a-hole for not letting my father walk me down the aisle because of his infidelity? When I was 16, my older brother and I found out that our dad had been cheating on our mom with her very close friend. We also learned that it had been going on for years. He initially gaslit us about it, but eventually came clean. Needless to say, it was devastating, especially considering that my parents had been married for over 15 years at that point. Despite the betrayal, they decided to stay together after the therapy, with my mom forgiving him. However, this completely ruined my relationship with him. Before this, I had thought my dad was the greatest man in the world. He was my best friend. But after the affair, I couldn't be around him, and I avoided him as much as possible. I moved out when I turned 18, and while I kept a bit of distance, it worked for a while. Now, over 10 years later, I'm getting married to an amazing man, and I'm excited about it. But my family is upset because I've asked my brother to walk me down the aisle instead of my father. My mom told me he's really hurt by my decision, which I understand, but I just can't get past the way he hurt our family. Some family members have even said they won't come to the wedding because of this. They've called me bitter, tasteless, and so on, which is starting to get to me. I've invited my dad to the wedding, and he's welcome to come, but I just don't want him to walk me down the aisle. I understand that people can change, and from what I hear, my dad has, but I just can't forgive him. He lied to all of us for years while he was cheating on my mom with someone who was like a second mother to us. I don't want to be associated with someone like that, no matter who they are. Am I the a-hole for taking this moment away from my dad? People who cheat while having a family often forget how their actions affect everyone. It wasn't just my mom he betrayed. It was all of us, especially his kids. Instead of focusing on making his family stronger, he created another life with someone else, even if temporarily. While my mom may have forgiven him, I haven't, and I don't have to. I'm proud of the person I've become, and if my family can't respect that, that's on them. I don't understand why they think my dad should get this honor after everything that happened. Did he just assume that because my mom forgave him, everything else would go back to normal? He didn't work to rebuild the trust or repair our relationship. He did nothing, and now he feels entitled to this privilege. I don't owe him anything, especially not this moment in my life. If my family is upset, that's their problem, not mine. I'm focused on planning my wedding, and making it a special day for me and my partner. Some of my family members are refusing to come, but I'm okay with that. It's their choice, and it's not going to change my decision. They weren't really worth it in the first place. I'll use the money I would have spent on them and treat myself to something special. I'm not going to let anyone guilt trip me for making this decision. I've been in a similar situation with my father's infidelity, and like Opie, I never saw him the same way after that. He expected everything to just go back to normal, but he never acknowledged the pain he caused. It's like he thought everything would magically fix itself, but it doesn't work that way. So, no, not the a-hole at all. Am I the a-hole for not giving my late brother's wife access to money meant for my nephew during an emergency? My brother James passed away when his son, Caden, was just 5. Before he passed, James had been awarded money for a lapse in medical care that contributed to his death. He wanted the bulk of the money to go to Caden's future, and when James was finalizing his estate, he asked if I would become the caretaker of that money. He trusted me to ensure it went directly to Caden and wasn't spent by anyone else, including his wife, Elle. James was worried that Elle might remarry, and if she did, he couldn't trust a new man in her life, and he wanted to ensure Caden's future was secure. I agreed, and when James passed away, I became the sole person with access to the money. It wasn't a trust, but I held control of the account to make sure it went only to Caden. Things were fine for a couple of years, but after that, things soured between Elle and me. It had nothing to do with the money, but I grew concerned when she started dating someone new. When I met him, I felt something wasn't right. They broke up, and it turned out I was right. The damage to our relationship was done, but we were civil for Caden's sake. Elle remarried a few years ago, and her new husband has children of his own. Recently, one of his children was involved in a near-fatal accident while out of the country. Elle contacted me, asking for money from Caden's fund to help with the emergency. She wasn't sure how much they'd need, but said it would be enough to cover everything and still leave Caden with money. I told her no. The money was for Caden and Caden alone. I'm sorry for what they were going through, but I had to respect James' wishes. Caden didn't want me to give the money either. He asked me not to, saying his mom would keep asking for it. But he wanted me to promise I'd keep the money safe for him. I agreed, and I told Elle no. Eventually, the money did come from somewhere else, but Elle and her husband ended up going into debt because of the accident, and Elle was angry with me. She called me callous for not helping during a real emergency and said I made the wrong decision. Am I the a-hole for not letting her access the money? I did exactly what my brother wanted. This money was meant for Caden's future, not to bail out Elle or her new husband. Caden is old enough to have a say in this, and he's the one who said no. While I sympathize with what they're going through, it's not my responsibility to fix it, especially when it goes against my brother's wishes. Not only was I doing what my brother asked, but Caden himself didn't want the money used for this. He's going through a lot, and it's clear that he doesn't have much of a relationship with his mother's new husband or his children. I'm just trying to protect Caden's future, and I won't let anyone guilt trip me into doing otherwise. I'm doing what's best for Caden, and in the end, he will be the one who decides what to do with that money when he's old enough. If Elle and her husband are in a tough spot, that's not Caden's responsibility to fix. It's unfortunate, but that money is for his future, not to help him out in a moment of crisis. Not the a-hole. I've been in Caden's position, and my mother messed up what was meant for my future. It's a tough decision, but you did the right thing. Protect Caden's future and make sure he understands that the money is his, and it's his alone to decide what to do with it.